Hello everyone, welcome back to another Neverness to Everness video. Today I want to start with a series of informational videos, especially to help newer players to the game. And I want to start with the Paws Heist. This is one that when I started off, it was a little bit frustrating for me to get into it, and I just wanted to give a quick run and some little tips and stuff to help newer players to the game. So we're just going to get started here and get off going. So, important thing to note, easy thing, always take the right side. It's usually easier in general. Now, for these guys, just ignore them. Just run right here and pick the fence or the lock or whatever. This is a little bit easier as they've made some changes since the last few updates. Before, they used to maybe disrupt you from unlocking it. Now you can kind of just push back some of them. These guys you can't, however, so you have to just deal with them right here like I'm going to do in a second. Once I get these guys killed. It is important to note that the gold ones will still disrupt you if you are trying to break open a fence or a lock or something like that. So especially in that one spot, I always just kill them to make sure I'm not interrupted. Now on here, I always take this little route. I like to just quickly grab anything I see here. This is from something I always have a tendency to find good cards or access keys here, so I always kind of run by it every time just to see if there's anything there. I don't bother with anything else, and I just hurt myself. The safes, I always like to say just grab whichever one you want. They have increased the rate of them. Ooh, got something gold. They've increased the drop rates of some of them. Now, I always check down there at the very end. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But I always like to check this table. I've found many good cards on this table. Always check the safe. As I said, they have increased the rates of stuff in safes, on safes, so you get a better chance of dropping stuff. Now, I'm going to show this area here. This is an area that I may not always go to. Grab this little safe right here. Excellent. I got it stuck. So in this room, it's not mandatory. You're not going to find a lot of good stuff. But I always like to just quickly go here, as there's sometimes a chance for key cards on that little table back there, and there's normally a chance of a big safe and a little one or two in here. I kind of got buggered over here with just having one, and it had nothing in it. This table too can have a card as well. Other than that, now there's a little trick you can do here. All right, kind of mucked it, but you can kind of hit the laser and bounce over to save some time if you're in a rush. Well, of course, then I get stuck on this, and I got stuck on this now. All right. Well, let's ignore that. This is training. Just practice with what not to do. So we'll just keep going here. As I said, most of these tables don't have anything overly good. I just grab the stuff as I'm running by them. I figure a little bit extra, why not? And just keep going this way. Up the stairs. Now, there used to be stuff on either side here. There's nothing really much. Just ignore it and keep going straight. I'd rather save the time for our big money-making area. And kill these little two things. Now, these guys are not really hard. They're more just a time sink and a little annoying, but you can normally kill them reasonably well. And there we go. So, it's once you kill the two deer, it does spawn another trio of rainmen. Dealing with them is relatively easy. Same principle. They're not overly hard. Again, more of just a delay to keep, burning your time. Once you get rid of them, you take the elevator. Now, this is where our big money maker is, at least for a casual, low intensive run. So I always usually start going left. Check all the shelves. They always have pedestals good for generalized money and for pink paws, which this is more of a fawns run for money rather than a pink paws run, but I mean these are good for pink paws coins and all that. We're kind of getting lucky here, but yeah, just usually I like to check all these little places because again I have found key cards in this corner. I generally just skim over any of the small caches, grab whatever I can as I'm going by. Check here for any rare items as they have a good chance to spawn. Check on those pedestals. Make a note of that exit location. So as anybody may or may not have known, under the last updates, they have changed it so that spawn extract locations don't change, which is a big quality of life improvement. This is the guy we really wanted to come this way for. This guy is probably one of your best things to go and just kill. He drops amazingly good loot, but he also generally drops a lot of gold-plated items, which give you a lot of good, not only fronds, but also the pink paw coins. And so always get this little guy whenever you can. He generally is worth the time sink and the time it takes to kill him. Because again, gold enemies are stronger, of course. So let's just finish this guy off as best we can. Again, I'm making it very casual. I'm not trying to, two-hit kill this guy or anything like that. Just try to make it a reasonable run, somebody who's just in here for fun. And generally how I like to play the game, if I'm being honest. As this is a game I just really just like to have fun with and not try to make everything maxed or solo. So this guy's almost dead. We can get him. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. He's dead. Alright. So this is what he drops. Now, just from looking at it, we kind of got buggered over here, but all this is reasonable gold. We want the items per se, but we didn't really get lucky with a lot of them. Now, the other thing to note, once we grab all this gold, is this other room right here. So you can get lucky. This room will either have nothing. We kind of got lucky here with this little thing. This is not a leave booth. It's a hidden boss. So another thing, after that other room, there's generally 3 rooms that you can encounter here. A dead end, which makes nothing. This guy that we're fighting here. Or a passageway to under the stairs, which just is really just a shortcut for getting out of here. Generally, this is the one you want as, again, chance to drop a lot of gold and gold-plated items. So I always try to kill this guy whenever he shows up. Again, he's not always guaranteed. We'll kind of go over gold items. I'll make a little note of it in the next one. So this guy is, again, a little bit more tanky than the last guy. I don't know why I weirdly find that, even though I think they're about the same strength. But, yeah, just reasonably easy to murder. Not a big problem. So, oh, I'm taking some hits, but I'm not... Oh my god, I'm taking a lot. All right, there we go. And he's dead. So now, drops a lot of gold-plated bundles and a lot of these gold-plated items, which is what we want. Generally speaking, he gives a good deal of money too. Nothing up there for anybody who wanted to know. And then we get out of here and continue our way back. So normally after I deal with this room, it's kind of a preference where you want to go, but I kind of like to make a right here. And take this way, because this room up here, again, just for generalized loot. Oh, don't want to trigger that. And we did. Generally, there's a couple of shells. We're going to ignore these guys. Just grab what we can. Try not to trigger the guys, but these guys aren't too bad to trigger. Check all these pedestals. Grab everything on the desk as we're going by, just for anything note. I have found a good key card spawn there. And then normally after that, I like to take... Again, you can modify your route, but I always like to make sure I get this side over here first, because it... Wait a minute. There we go. Smoky Amethyst. Can't forget that. Any gold item. So in here, always check that way. And this room is really good for items. There's another vase. Kind of make our way over here. There's always usually a safe in this corner. And the thing to note is that in this room, under all the glass, there's usually items. Another Navigator's Telescope. Really nice. More gold bars. And then I just check anything else out. More gold bars, some just random cash, nothing of value. More gold bars. There can be safe spawn there, but nothing here. Ooh, a geo? Or geometric, whatever you wish to call it. And then I like to come back this way. And now that we've kind of come out there, we continue and just... there's a keycard room over here. It's generally one of the worst keycard rooms, in my opinion, that one right there. Just ignore it. I've checked it several times. It hasn't had a lot in it. Maybe I just got unlucky. Then this is where I like to finalize, clear out the bottom here. These things are like little miscellaneous loots. But then mainly I'm just coming around here to check the pedestals. The pedestals, especially behind here, you can get lots of items on all of them. Not too hard. Oh, another item. Again, we're kind of getting lucky on the pedestals. Again, the gold-plated dudes right there will drop cash. They won't drop anything for pink Paws coins. So And generally, they're a very more annoying fight to have. So unless you have to, or if you have lots of time, just want to try it, ignore them unless you need to get the cube to go to the center, which is something we'll talk about at a later date. And then I usually just like to, in the final minutes, just check around here and just grab everything as I'm just going. Ooh, another big thing. As I said, around in this room, you can get a lot of good items that give you ping Paws coins or just generalized cash. Another room here, check everything. Not too much over here, but again, as I said, I like to double check if I'm here anyway. Usually this one, ooh, navigators and a geo. This room is, this table especially right here, I always like to make sure I check this one. This table has amazing loot on it, usually, unless you get very unlucky. So always, I like to come down here and check to make sure it's one of my last stops. We got really lucky on this table now. As I said, just in our final minutes, just like to search through anything, make sure there's nothing of value. A lot of those drawers don't have anything per se. Nothing over here really, but just random cash you can just grab as you're going by, just checking. Don't get spotlighted. Now the other place, if I have time, I will check out. I don't have time to go to another floor, but I like to check out this corner over here that we passed before. So there is, you know, a lot of drawers and stuff like that that could have potential for keys. And along the back walls, there is lots of little opens, safety deposit boxes and stuff like that that you can double check to see if there's anything of interest. Generally speaking, most of the time that's it. Now, let's like to double check. I know we're getting low on time, but I just like to double check to make sure. There can be sometimes a drawer there that opens. Very rarely, though. But so we're going to get out of here. Now, it's important to remember that we're running out of time, but as I said, always take note of where your exits are. And I thought I saw something there, sorry. And then we know that for sure we have an exit where our other entrance to the gold guy was. So as we're running out of time, we're not going to risk too much, but we're just going to nip our butts basically back the way we came. And, oops, we're out of here. And just like that, we have at least, you know, almost 200,000 francs right there. So it's always good for things like that. So there you go. That's kind of the rough route that I like to take a lot of the time. Whenever I'm just wanting to do a casual run, just want to get through the fronds, make sure I get my million every, you know, week and a half or something like that. And it's not too stressful. You're not, you know, gripping your keyboard worried you're going to make it. Now, a couple of things of note. Now, this section I told you to watch out before. At the end of this hallway where this room is that's sometimes locked, but it's open now, there's another hidden golden boss. Now, this is one that is, they've changed a little bit, I've noticed, since the open of the game. Now, for multiplayer, when you can use this thing to earn a lot of pink Paws coins, which is what a lot of people use this one for, when it comes to solo fighting it, I find that it is incredibly tanky and an incredibly big time sink. Especially solo. Now, if you're just, you know, if you max out your characters, get everything perfect, and you can just, like, you know, kill it in, like, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that, then it's not an issue. Fight it if you want. I find, though, as a casual player and somebody who's not, you know, trying to make the game a huge, I just want to, you know, max up my characters to, you know, one tap anything, I find that this boss is, I question a lot of the time whether it's worth it. So the reason I say that is because it's a long fight. It takes up a lot of time that you can use for searching other areas, especially if you want to go to lower levels. And for the most part, it just doesn't give a lot of rewards. Like, even here, like, this is another run that I was doing, and for the most part, I was, you know, not being fully, you know, trying to just, you know, go at it, just having fun and all that. And I eventually kill it, but for the most part, compared to the gold bosses you find at the next level down, this guy did not give me a lot of reward. Like, it gives here, like, again, I think I got something like 30k, we'll say, from it. It does open a couple of safes. Again, safes are hit or miss whether you get something good or not. And I don't know. For me, the amount of time it took as like just a casual for fun player is it's going to depend on how good you are and what you want to do with that. But generally speaking, I almost have a tendency to say if you're good, do it. If not, just play it by ear. And just a note. Now, one last thing of note to especially newer players: if you get spotted by like the searchlights or whatever you want to call them, they will be locked out in certain rooms that you have to defeat all the enemies to get through. And this can cause problems given a small space, and I'm going to show you one right here. So in this one, I was switching characters, and I literally got stuck behind the bookcase. Now, I could not move, could not switch characters, and because of the nature of this environment, you cannot, unstick yourself and everything else like that. So, literally, it becomes a situation where you have to just literally fight it off, keep wiggling to a certain extent, and try and find an angle where your character can slowly work their way out and then get unstuck. Now, in a time-sensitive nature, this becomes a truly heartbreaking situation, as you don't want to just lose the run and have to reset. So I hope this helps anybody who is trying to get into the pink paws thing. It is really lucrative for new players and for anyone really. Making that million fawns every week is incredibly helpful to the future of the actual gaming experience, and will be definitely beneficial for upcoming events. So thanks everyone for listening. Like and subscribe, and leave a message in the comment if you have your own pink paws experience. Have a good night, everyone.